Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, please subscribe. I'd really love that. If you're returning, how you doing? Grab your coffee, maybe some hot tea. I got sugar cookie flavored red roast tea. It's thebomb.com. Grab a snack and let's get into it, all right? So, what's going on right now in this economy is it's going to affect every single one of us, okay? It's bad, all right? So top bank executives, all right, from some of the largest lenders in the United States, they are sounding the alarm over soaring inflation right now, all right? And testimony, all right, from the House Financial Services Committee. Citigroup CEO Jane Fraser said that she expects tough times ahead, all right? So, and this is all due to the rising prices in the United States and elsewhere. And central bank officials have sought to hike interest rates to combat inflation. We've talked about this previously, all right? So, they said we are very concerned about the high prices that consumers are facing in America right now and indeed around the world. And there was testimony that was given on Wednesday that came just hours just before the Federal Reserve, when they boosted their federal funds rate by 0.75%. The points to raise the range to 3% to 3.25%. And this is in the latest move to fight the highest inflation in 40 years. And the Feds, the Fed's third consecutive rate hike aims to slow consumer spending levels after the monthly inflation. Who are you hissing at, Stormy Bug? Stop the madness. The spending levels after monthly inflation rates increase unexpectedly in August. You remember that because I spoke about that, and the impact of these higher rates that are required to try to tame, if you can possibly, which I don't think it can, to try and tame the inflation is likely to be moderating growth in America and around the world, and will be putting pressure on many of the drivers of the economy. And now Representative Bill Posey, P-O-S-E-Y, he's a Republican from Florida, and he asked, now listen to this, he asked the executives if congressional spending was responsible for high inflation, to which J.P. Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon, okay, he replied, I don't think you can spend $6 trillion and not expect inflation. And he's so right. He's so right. You can't keep printing money and then expect no consequence. How dumb would you be? Oh, wait, that's right. So other executives at the hearing, including CEOs from U.S. Bank, Bancorp, PNC, Bank of America, Truist, which used to be SunTrust, but they're now called Truist because SunTrust went bankrupt. And Truist was bought out by BB&T, so they rebranded themselves as Truist. And Wells Fargo, who warned economic uncertainty over the invasion could make a possible recession even worse. And because of this invasion, all right, and the uncertainty that it causes in the global energy supply and the food supply, there's a chance it's going to be a lot worse. And this is according to Jamie Dimon and his testimony. And those things will absolutely cause a slowdown in the economy and at one point increase unemployment. So inflation is affecting those the most that can afford it the least. And that is so true. And that was said by U.S. Bank CEO Andrew Cecere, it's C-E-C-E-R-E. But he said savings levels continue to improve, be above pre-pandemic levels. I don't see how, but okay. And then Jamie Dimon, he chimed in again and also pointed out that consumers are in better shape now than before the pandemic, which could help them weather the downturn. I don't see how on that, but I'll go on. And then the American consumer is actually still in rather good shape. They have a good balance sheet. Their debt balances are low, confidence levels are going, and jobs are plentiful. Can you show me where? Because I'm not seeing those statistics, Jamie Dimon. But the U.S. economy today is classic tale of two cities. There are headwinds and there are tailwinds, right on, making it challenging to predict the future, Jamie Dimon said. And yeah, I do agree with that. And while these storm clouds build on the horizon, even the best and the brightest economists are split as to whether these could evolve into a major economic storm or something much less. So we shall see, right? And now, in case anyone thought that the sky-high inflation would be easy to control this year, BOFA, or Bank of America, has some really bad news for all of us, okay? The inflation genie is out of the bottle. So what'd you do? You rub the lamp? And what happened? So researchers at the bank wrote in a research note that was done on Wednesday that adding that to it could be a long time before this goes back to normal. But my question is, define normal. Anybody? Anywhere? So the team of analysts led by Athanasios Vamvakidis. Did I say that right? I don't think I did. But studied cases of inflation in advanced economies above 5% from the 80s to the 2000s. And they found that on average, it took 10 years to bring inflation down to 2%. But in my honest opinion, it's going to take a very, very, very long time to get that to that 2%. It really, truly is. So the consensus still expects the G10 inflation to drop to 2% by 2024. Nay. But we are concerned it could take longer, analysts wrote. And they added that with formidable rates around the world, the U.S. year-over-year inflation rate is at 8.3%, while the U.K. is at 9.9%. Yeah, and central banks around the world are not in full control or of inflation. Yeah, nobody's in charge of inflation. Or are they? So, hi, Stormy Bug, what's going on? And they are also saying that the policy tightening has its limits. Well, everything has a limit, wouldn't you think? But inflation in advanced economies today is much higher than 5% and has not even peaked yet in most cases. They said we should not necessarily expect that inflation will be back to the 2% target in only a couple of years. It could take more policy tightening in more time. So expect higher inflation so they can get back to that 2% in the allotted time that they are allowing themselves. So expect hyperinflation. So the analyst did not give an exact timeline. Of course not. Why would they do that? Yeah. So for when they believed U.S. inflation could be brought under control, but there's always a but, isn't there? But out of the two possible scenarios, either positive, a soft landing for the economy if interest rates go down, or a negative hard landing if they continue to increase and the Fed is forced to continue to raise rates. And the researchers offered a ominous prediction. Don't you just love predictions? Me too. So they said our baseline is the positive scenario, but risks for the negative scenario are increasing in our view, adding that the rest of the year's inflation data would help them decide which scenario would unfold. The most recent inflation reading in August of this year was down only slightly from July's reading of 8.5%, prompting the Federal Reserve to make its third consecutive interest rate hike of 75 basis points on Wednesday. And although analysts studied scenarios in which it took 10 years for inflation to come down, they also offered a semi-hopeful note. They just love to ease the minds of the people, don't they? They said history does not repeat itself, but it rhymes. What? All right. We do not necessarily expect that it will take a decade to bring inflation down to 2% target in advanced economies. However, the historic evidence on inflation calls for caution. My. All right. That's all for this video, guys. I love you. I'll see you in the next one. You stay safe, you stay positive, you keep prepping. And as always, fearless. Ciao.